Hi.
We have to push play, otherwise we're not going to do this. So.
Yes, and we need to get it done.
Yep.
So.
Hi, I'm Dominique.
I'm Rachel.
This is my mom.
Yeah, this is my daughter. Yeah, we're Scattered Minds.
If you can't tell that. That's why we named ourselves that.
Yeah, yes. Hey,
so,
welcome.
Yeah, exactly. What I was going to say. So this is our video blog, and we're blogging about books. All these lovely, enticing beings back here. Beings, yeah, to me.
They are beings.
Yeah.
They're a whole other world.
Uh-huh.
And we're here to talk to you about one of those other worlds. Because we just finished a book.
So I'll show you, because she says we have to show you. From the Buick 8, we read Stephen King's. Of course, not like we don't read many books, but this is the first one we're going to talk about. It's the first one that we have decided to video blog about.
Yeah, this is all new for us. So yeah, we think we're a little blurry, but I was just saying I'm not sure if that's my eyesight or... And we're talking about the book anyway, so I don't really have to see. So we decided to read this book because, well, Stephen King, and it was October when we started it, so Halloween kind of and scary stories.
Yeah.
Do you think it was scary?
I think with Stephen King, most of the time it is a creep factor. He always has a creep factor where it's like, you don't want to sleep. I don't want to sleep. Yeah. What am I going to dream about? And it's never like terrifying so much as like, ugh.
I definitely had weird dreams because of this book, I'm sure. Last night I had monsters in my dreams, and I also got threatened to be taken home and cut open and
dissected,
and shot too. But I love dreams like that. So.
Yep, me too. We'll probably talk about dreams as they go along with our book reading also, because it always seems to be paralleled.
Definitely, and we both write dreams, and I write a lot of stories I write come from my dreams. And I read that Stephen King does that too.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Actually, I don't know. Did you
that.
read the back that he did like a author's note?
Half of it. Did you read it?
So basically, you're not gonna get that until we kind of get through the story. But he said that he came up with this story as he was traveling from Florida back to Maine. He lives in Maine, and he says he does a lot of this East Coast traveling. So he was Florida on vacation with his wife. And as he's traveling home, he stops at a gas station where somebody else is pumping gas, and he's like, oh, wow. And he goes to the bathroom. Well, he goes to the bathroom. The guy's pumping the gas for him. The attendant's pumping gas. And he goes into the bathroom, and the bathroom's like around the back, and he sees around the back. He's in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, and he sees around the back there's like a kind of a gully with a runoff water stream down there. And he's like, all this trash was down there, like car litter, tires, and pieces of just car trash, junk all over. And he's like, so I kind of just stepped around, and I found myself slipping, and he lost footing and kind of slid down into it and didn't get into the water. He's like, thankfully, because who knows what would have happened. But then he started thinking like, well, what if I was gone, and what if I got lost here, and who would come looking for me, and how long would it take them to find me? Because this is in the middle of the spring where everything is melting and the water's pulling fast, and there's all this trash. And he's like, so basically, he's making this note of like, this is where the story came from, and that's exactly how the story starts.
Oh my gosh, now I have to go back and read it.
Yeah.
I literally just finished the book today. You finished it?
Last night.
Yeah. So we were trying to break this up in a couple, but it didn't happen that way, so...
We did do one video previously, which was really good because our thoughts on the book were not what happened, of course.
So different.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to talk about that kind of in the beginning. Because, well, one thing we did talk about is that most of Stephen King's books are hard for people to read because he is very detailed and he puts a lot into it, and it's hard to get into the meat of the story.
You have to build characters, you have to build settings, you have to like actually vividly picture what he's trying to tell you, because he puts so much care into his detail, which is fantastic. If you're a reader,
it's awesome.
You want to build that, and it's so good, but some people don't really have the patience for that, and so they want to like skip through pages, just get to the meat of it. But I mean, it's really important for the storytelling because he puts so much into these characters and these events and these places, and it's just like, it's amazing.
Yeah, and
it winds up.
He did that especially in this book, but he did it much more quickly. I feel like at one point I said to you, is the book about the boy, or is it about the car, or what's really the main topic of the book? I know it's called From a Buick 8, so it's about,
from
sort of
a Buick 8.
A Buick 8, right,
so
right.
That is when I first read I'm like, from a Buick? What's going to come from a Buick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when we kind of were talking about, so our first video was basically like,
what is this Buick? Where did it come from? So that was kind of where we were last video. And we had all these assumptions. Well, this is what I think it is. Well, this is what I think it is. And we're kind of...
Yeah, what did you think it was? You were going along the vampire?
Yeah, because, that's what I compared Nosferatu.
Yes,
That's what I was like.
Right.
I remember saying, you have to read Nosferatu. She hasn't read it. I don't know if you've read it. It's Joe Hill, and Joe Hill, it happens to be Stephen King's son. So, Nosferatu, very good book. The Audible is amazing.
We'll have to get into that.
Yeah, the voices were really, really good. So it just captured me from the get-go. And it's a big, thick old book, so...
Which most of his are. This is a smaller book in comparison to a lot of his books. These are his books on this side, and those are just a few of them. But yeah, they're usually time-consuming, worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I thought it was more aliens. I thought it was more alien, and yeah, so... But as we're reading it, it had some aspects of both, really.
Yeah.
Monsters, aliens, vampires. I liked that it kept you wondering for sure. Oh, you're like, oh, maybe it is vampire. Oh, maybe it is alien. Oh, wait a minute, maybe it's... And throughout, you kept second guessing yourself.
Yeah. So our first video started with... basically what we thought of the first half of the book. And this is probably how we're going to progress into more of these kind of video blogs for everyone, for you, is because we want to split it up, because we want to have that wonder. We want to be like, oh, what's it going to be? And what are your opinions? And what are your thoughts? Because we want other people's, if you want to read a book with us and see where you're at and what you're thinking about what things are happening, because you're always going to come up with your own assumptions and yeah, exactly, what's happening throughout. And that's one of the best parts of reading is like, well, what's going to happen next? And what, where are we at? And what you're thinking of as a character and all this cool stuff. So that was a really good video, which we might kind of edit through and maybe do something else with. But I know how we're kind of progressing with this, and we're probably going to break books up because we're going to do probably one video a week, and we're not going to be able to read a whole book in a week.
Yeah, and some of the books are going to be pretty big. So, so we want to get into it.
Basically, we are here to talk about books, and then we are going to bring in some cool
stuff that we find in our own community that we want to be supportive of small businesses,
local businesses, and in the surrounding communities as well. But so tonight, I feel like I want to say. Tonight's show is brought to you by...
I think we should spotlight that. Tonight's show is brought to you by...
Muscle Soak Bath Bomb from a company called Purely Rooted Goods. They are a local company. They are handmade...
vegan,
personal...
gluten-free.
Yeah, they're personal products and home products. And they're always building on their line of what they have. So this Muscle Soak, the reason I have this, I just bought some more of them because
that's really cool.
When I first met her, Jenny is the mom of, the funny thing is that it's a mother-daughter.
That's what I was going to say.
Duo.
I didn't get to meet them, but
the thing that stood out to her when she met them was, oh my gosh, you're a mother-daughter duo. That's what we're doing, a mother-daughter.
Yes.
So I don't know if we introduced ourselves like that. This is my mother.
This is kind of a neat thing in that way too, but I have terrible muscle issues, and I hurt a lot. And when the weather, I don't know how your weather is, but our weather is getting cold, and it's like we skip fall. It's 70 degrees, and then tomorrow it's 30 degrees, and
it goes back and forth too. So we'll get set. Like this weekend's going to be 65, but I think last night was like 20 degrees.
Right. 26. I don't know. Anyway, so she gave me this bath bomb because I was talking to her about my condition, and I tried it, and it worked. It worked so well. I took a bath with it and soaked in the tub for, half an hour or so and went to bed feeling so much better. And she saw me when I was walking into her home to pick my order up. I couldn't walk very well that day. When I went to bed, I slept so well that night, and I know it's because my body wasn't hurting me so bad. So we just wanted to highlight this. If you want to check them out, they've got a whole lot of other things. One of the things I also bought was...
Do they have like an online?
They do. She's at Purely Rooted Goods.
Purely Rooted?
Rooted Goods. Purely Rooted Goods. On Instagram. And if you look us up on Instagram, we're Skattered Minds with a K. Skattered with a K. On Instagram. And I've posted about it there so you can find it. If you use the code that I'm going to post there after the show tonight, you can get 15% off your first order.
Ooh, that's nice.
So, yeah.
Hey.
So they have a lot of stuff. One of the things I just bought also was an elderberry package that you make elderberry syrup. And instead of buying one monthly, it lasts for 3 months. So just a lot of different things. Carpet fresh kind of stuff.
Very
it's
holistic.
all natural, yes. And they don't use any kind of preservatives or any kind of bad stuff. They tell you exactly what is in everything, and that they find sources that don't use products that are bad for you or bad for the environment. So one last time, their email or their website is purelyrootedgoods.com. And yeah, I'm going to just tell you now, if you use BRI15 for the code and checkout, you can save 15% on your first order.
BRI 15.
15. Yep.
I like it. Okay.
All right, moving on. Let's get into the story.
Okay, so I think that we should just start with how the book starts, which is
kind of what I touched on, how Stephen King said that he was writing it. So there is a gas station attendant that is kind of just a little pisshead. I guess he's a young kid, and he's kind of in charge of the gas station for the day because his boss is off doing something, which I don't recall what it is, but it's something. And so he sees this old Buick pull up, and he's like, oh,
Mint old Buick, just
beautiful, pristine condition.
picture that in your head.
yeah.
Really odd character gets out, fully dressed in a black trench coat, which is why we thought vampire. That's where that assumption came from.
He actually says the skin was very pale.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but he didn't really see. He saw hands, not the face, right?
Right. He saw a little bit of face, but there was a hat on too.
Yeah,
so
hat.
just pale and
Pale, yeah.
hand. Yes.
Yeah, and so
This character gets out of the car and heads towards the bathroom, which is in the back of the station. And the kid comes out to pump the gas. And of course, when you pump the gas and you kind of ask about fluids, you want me to check the fluids, check the oil? And he's like, oil's fine. So takes off.
It's the only thing this man says.
Oil's fine.
And that's touched on a number
Many
of times
yes,
in the
many
book.
times.
So it's significant.
Yeah,
And basically the kid just kind of goes back, fills it all the way up, goes back into the station, sits and waits and waits and waits.
Yeah.
and waits and no one comes.
Yeah, the dude doesn't come back.
Yeah.
So this is in Pennsylvania, right?
Yes.
And it's in the early 70s. Late 60s, early 70s,
Yes,
I believe.
think it's
Yeah,
70s,
yes.
yep.
So that's your setting. But the guy never comes back, so the attendant calls the Pennsylvania State Patrol.
Yeah, the troopers there. So this story is
Really big. It focuses on the troopers and
Yes.
their story.
It's obviously a rural area. There's Amish country around. They talk about that too. So the station is kind of set on the main highway that it seems that goes from.
Remember we touched. I'm just sorry to interrupt on that, but
we did touch on was it set up? And I read a spot after we talked, and it is on a hill.
Okay,
So-
yes. So I was kind of envisioning that the state troopers is kind of set back, overlooking maybe the town, or, usually state trooper offices are not right in the middle of town.
like
They're
you can't
kind of
just
on the
see
outside. So it was back off the highway, and the highway was the main highway going
pushed
into
back
town.
toward wooded area. I believe there's wooded
one
area
end, yes.
back behind them, so they're not seeing a lot of the town. It seems like a real hilly or
Mountainous area that they're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
they're on one of those big.
And the point is that the only way to get to that gas station would be on this highway. So
One way in, one way out.
So the Buick drove up, and the Buick never drove off because the caretaker never came back.
And so, yeah, when the troopers come in, then they notice that
this right away notice that this Buick is very odd, because they come in this highway that's only one way in, one way out, and it is pretty mucky. It had rained maybe a day or two before, and when the trooper came in, there's two troopers in the car. When they came in, the car had splashback on it. It was dirty already driving down the road, and they're like, this Buick has nothing on it. Nothing.
It was pristine.
Yeah, absolutely. No dirt, nothing.
Yes.
Looked inside of it, nothing. No handprints, no, dirt, nothing anywhere.
No rocks on the floor mats, no show that anyone has. It was like from the showroom floor.
Mm-hmm. So they're just kind of looking around at it.
It was odd.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this is
kind of weird, just checking it out. Well, then what after that? They have it.
They couldn't put a name on it. They didn't know what kind of Buick it was, except that it looked like a Buick 8. So, but it had the Roadmaster, yes, sort of. And it had weird things, and they found out as the funny thing is that one of the troopers of the two that showed up was a rookie, and he was training, and he's significant because he's the father of one of the main characters. But he investigated it, and the one thing they found right off the bat is that there was portholes on either side, and one side had 2 and one side had 3.
I thought it was 3 and 4, but yeah, either way, it's one difference.
And so it wasn't even, and if you know anything about cars, you know that they don't do that. Their assembly line, they make them exact on both sides.
Yeah. Also to note, the rookie was
things,
very precise. He didn't go in there and crash
the show. He went in there and was very particular. He put on gloves. He noted exactly what he touched, was very careful about what he touched, because he knew that if anything happened to the person that was driving this, they would need to take fingerprints. So he would need to know what he was touching and what he was all around. So he's very meticulous also in that way. So that was good.
One of the things that you find out later, too, is that he has restored an old Chevy Bel Air.
Bel Air, yeah.
So he knows about
Chevy.
Old cars. So as he's looking at this car, he finds about knobs, the steering wheel.
All of this. So they're looking at this stuff, and he knew it looked odd from the outside, which is why he had to investigate the inside. He's like, I've got to see more of this. So he opens it up, notices that the knobs and the speedometer and everything on the dashboard was fake. Nothing was working.
It didn't really work.
There was no knobs to turn. They were just like we stuck that on there, glued it on, and it doesn't move. It doesn't twist. It doesn't turn. It doesn't do anything. It was like a fake model car.
Like a model, yes, exactly. Yeah. That just came to me too. Interesting. Same thing in the engine compartment.
Yeah, they popped the hood.
No battery cables.
Nothing hooked up to each other. There was no way to turn that car on.
Yeah, so again, it drove in to the station. So they ended up
towing it.
Back.
They couldn't find the owner of the car. They searched in that, as I said,
there was like a kind of a hilled area in the back with a gully,
a ravine.
With a ditch there.
There was a river, right? A small river?
I don't think it was a stream. I think it was a stream,
yeah.
And so they were like, there's water running through there, and
he couldn't have gone far. They searched the area. They were like, there's no way he could have gone far.
Right. So, and they found no trace of him. No trace.
Yeah, and another thing is he
never said he was going to the bathroom. He went to the back of the station where they thought that he was going to the bathroom, the kid did. And when the kid went to check the bathroom was still locked, because they would have to lock it in a certain way to put like a wedge
screwdriver or something. Yeah, a wedge in the door.
To keep the door from swinging.
Spot so that it didn't open and it hadn't been moved.
And he's like, either this person is like real good about putting things exactly back where they go, or this was not opened.
So then they just tow the vehicle back to the trooper station, because they don't really know what to do with it. And they don't really have a missing persons because they don't know who the person is. They don't know anything. There's nothing in the vehicle. They have it printed. They find no prints.
They had the guy that came to print it brought some apprentices with him, some just young college students. And he was like, look, get it done, prints and all and stuff, and dust it down and see. And they start testing the car, and they start poking and prodding.
And they find nothing.
The tires?
Yeah. Is it a screwdriver?
No. That's after. They start trying to stick rocks in the tread of the tires, and the rocks just, bing, they don't stay. They just pop out, bing. They just
Nothing stays.
They can't dirty the car. They tried sprinkling dirt in the inside of like where your shoes go. What is it called? The little foot area.
Mm-hmm.
And nope, it wouldn't even stick in the.
And they scratched it.
Yeah.
They scratched it and it healed itself. That's what it seemed like it did anyway. It healed itself.
I think
the
that-
tire.
I think
tire
this is
got
later. This is later when they put it in the garage.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah.
start looking
Okay,
at
yeah.
property.
But
We're ahead of
anyway.
ourselves.
Anyway, you get the point. It was a weird car and weird things were happening with it.
And even the first day, they had set it outside
In front of they had a garage area in the back, a shed garage area, which had I don't know if it was like 2 stations.
That's what I got.
because
That's
they
what
call
I
it
thought.
Shed B is where they end up putting it.
And so that, makes you think there's a shed A.
Yeah.
But they never addressed Shed A. I think that maybe when they first talk about putting it in there, they're like, well, they're that old school bus or something is in one of the sheds. So they're like, we'll move something out of Shed B and put it in there. So I think maybe that's addressed, but it's obviously not a big point.
Wasn't a big point because
yeah.
I don't remember it. Yeah. Yeah. So this young rookie trooper, he kind of becomes obsessed with it. Yes. Like it's a project for him.
Yeah, he can't figure out what the hell
This thing is, it's obviously something. It's got something going on with it. Nobody's ever seen a car like this. Even the grill of the car doesn't look like the regular grill that would be on a Buick Roadmaster. He starts looking at different things. The ports are wrong. The wheels probably aren't the right size. I mean, everything seems wrong. So we have to.
Yeah. So he wants to actively investigate it, but it's creeping. It's creepy. It's creeping them out. So they have to do something.
I feel like
they don't quite know what to do because they don't, it's not a crime. It's a car that's just left and they're not quite sure what to do with it because there's no crime to solve.
Yeah.
Let's take a momentary break for the cause and we'll be right back.